Hello guys, welcome back to Tech Projects. I am back with another part of Notes app series. So in this part, we are going to learn about what is MVVM, why we use MVVM. Then we will understand what is room database. Then we will create some components of room database which we are going to use in our project like model class, DAO class, singleton pattern, and view model repository, these kind of things. So first of all, we will going to understand what is MVVM, why we need MVVM, and how it is different from normal architecture pattern. So, and I will also tell you what is the what architecture pattern we are default using. So this video is going to very interesting, very knowledgeable, so please watch the video till end. If you don't subscribe the channel, then please subscribe the channel, and if you don't like the video, then please like the video. So now let's start the video. So first of all, I open my project, and in the previous two parts I completed the UI. So if you don't check the previous two parts, then please check out, and in previous all two parts I complete this UI of our notes application. So from this part we are going to write some coding portion of our room database. So now let's come on to the topic MVVM, which I say in demo we are going to use MVVM inside this project. So now what is MVVM? MVVM is just an architecture pattern. So we can also create this project without using MVVM. MVVM is just an architecture pattern, but Google suggests to use it for our best practices. So it is your choice whether you want to use it or not. You can also make your project without using MVVM. MVVM just creates some packages where you have to put some different files, then that files connect with your main logic. These kind of things work behind this. Now, for understanding MVVM, first of all understand what architecture pattern by default we are using. So let us suppose you open a project in Android Studio and you create a new project and you start writing the code. So the pattern which you are using by default is MVC, Model View Controller. Now how it is Model View Controller? Let us suppose you write some code inside your activity main. So this is your view, and for handling the view, let us suppose you add a button here, you add a text view here. So where you write the code for handle this inside your main activity.java. So this is known as your controller. And let us suppose you are fetching some data from an API, from a database. So on that time, what you use? A model class. So that's why it is known as MVC. So by default we are following model view controller MVVC inside our project. But now in this project we are going to use MVVM. So for this, first of all, I want to show a diagram. So you can see this is the diagram for MVVM, model view model. So it creates one more layer of view model. So what is this view model? So let us suppose this activity and fragment, it is your view. Now this is the view model, which is the separation layer, which will interact with your database. So MVVM is just say activity will interact with this view model will interact with this repository, and repository further interact with your database, whether it is a room database or you are fetching database from an API, from an external source. So this is just a separation layer of repository which will separate your business logic from your UI. So whenever you need make some changes, it is independent. That's why Google recommend to follow the best practices. It is nothing, it is just a simple and architecture pattern where you have to create a different packages and create a different files, and you have to just follow the rules. That's it. So now let's start writing the code. So first of all, we are going to use MVVM, and before using MVVM, what I want to do, what we need inside our notes application. So we have to store some projects, or we can say some notes inside our application. So for this, first of all, let's create the model of our application. So right click on your package name, then you have to click on new, then you have to click on package. Give any name, but this is the model of our notes application, so I give the package name model. Now inside this I need a class which is known as model class, and model class which I will explain what is the model class when I write the code. So right click on new, then you click on Kotlin class file and give any file class name. So I simply give the note, and you can give any class name, it is your choice, and this class should be data class. So now this class is created successfully. Now what is this? In this class we are going to define what we want inside our notes app. So we have to store title, we have to store content, we have to store we have to store the color of the note. So all these things which we are going to define inside this class. So first of all, we should annotate this entity notation. So take an @ and type here entity, this one, Android X room database. Now inside this we have to define what parameters we need. So we are working with Kotlin, so we have to simply mention, we don't need to mention any type. So where id and integer equals 0, and by default the id of thing is 0. So we are using room database, so in room database we have to give a primary key to all id, which will be the unique in that table. Then we have a title, so val title, and inside this we can store string. Then we have a val content. So why I give here var, because I don't want someone can change the id name, but if someone want to change the title, if someone want to change the content, then it can change, so that's why. So string, this is also for string. Then val date, this is also string. Then we have a val color, and by default what color I want, -1, which will be the white, -1. Then close this, that's it. So our node class is created successfully. Now the important thing which we are forget here, we have to mention the id as a primary key. So it should be auto generated if we are adding new and new node. So primary key, and inside this bracket you have to pass here auto generate equal true. So now we don't need to worry about how we going to generate primary key. Everything is done by the help of room database. Now the second important thing, we have to mention this as a serializable. So why this is serializable, we are going to pass this node in a second fragment directly as an object. For passing the data, what we use, basically we use intent to put a string, then we fetch that string using intent get string extra, like this. But in this time, in this project, we are going to pass the entire object between two fragments. So that's why I mentioned this note or model as a serializable. So hope you understand why I mentioned it as a serializable. Now let's create our database. So for this, first of all, I create a new package here, and first of all give the package name, I give the package name activities, and you can place your main activity inside this package, so it will be better. So now you can see our activity contain this, and it is placing here, but due to the rebuilding it is not showing here, so rebuild the project. So after rebuilding, you can see now our main activity inside this package activities. Now let's create a package for our database. So right click on again on package name, then new, and this is click on package and give the package name db. You can give any name. And one more thing, if you are following this pattern, this is the best practices for making any kind of Android project. So maybe this video very helpful for you, and if you don't like the video till now, then please like the video. So now let's create the DAO for our node database. New, and give the class name Kotlin class file, and I give the file name DAO, and DAO should be interface. Press enter. So first of all, I simply open this and room database components. I want to show you what we think needs inside our room database. So room database contain three things. First thing is our database. Second thing is the DAO, where we design or mention what we are going to perform inside this, and inside entities we are getting and fetching the data. And DAO is the interface where we just only mention the methods but working inside these entities. So for this is the first part of a database, which is the DAO. So first of all, if it is a DAO, then we have to mention this as a DAO entity, DAO, this one. After this, we have to write code here. Now we have to insert a node. So we have a for method: insert, update, query, delete. So one by one I explain all. So first of all, I want to insert, and then you can give any function name, it is your choice. So I am going to use suspend function because I am going to use Kotlin coroutine, so it will automatically perform the background threading and it will not run on main thread. So that's why I am using suspend. So if you don't know what is coroutine, then I already upload a video, so you can check that on my playlist of Kotlin. And inside this you have to give any function name. So I want to use this function as a add note, and what I want to store, note object, note colon note, this one. This is our note which I created right now, this one. And inside this you can also pass this on conflict, and inside this you can pass on conflict strategy ignore, strategy.ignore. Then after this, what we have to update this. if we want to update the node, so then the function we have to define here, suspend function. So as I already explained, in DAO we just need to mention the function names. That's it. We don't need to mention any kind of working here. Update node, and inside this what I want to update, our node type object, so node. Then after this we have to mention a query if we want to fetch all nodes, so query. Then inside this we have to mention in double quotes select. Then what we want to star from node. This is our object node, and it should be order by ID and in descending order or ascending order, it is your choice. So it is completely depend on you. And inside this I am passing here function get all node, and then it should be return the what it should return the live data of all nodes, live data and list of all nodes. So you can see I don't mention here suspend function here because I am using here live data, so it will automatically perform in background thread, so I don't need to mention here suspend. So it will return the list of all nodes in the form of live data where we are going to show in our application. Now we have a second query. Let us suppose user want to search anything, so query select star from node where title like, because inside this note I give this name as a title, so I want to search inside our note by using name of title. And then you can mention here query. We can also find the note using content like query. And then after this what we have, or we have a date, so we can also search the note with the help of date like query. And then we can order this also by ascending, order by ID, and where we can pass a descending, and it will also return the one this. And I give the function name as search node, and what we have to get here from query. Let us suppose user entering anything inside our search box, so we have to pass this query here, so query, and the query is the file type of string, query string. And then after this what this function return, this function will return live data of the list of all nodes. So hope you understand how this thing is working, and this is very easy. Now after this what we have, at last what we have to delete a node, so delete, then suspend function, and you can give any function name. I give the delete node, and then the type of the object is delete node type. That's it. So you can see the DAO is creating successfully, and it is very easy to create the DAO. So hope you understand how to create the DAO. Now we have to create the database for our application. So for this you can right click here, then new, then you have to give any class, Kotlin class file, and then give any file name. So you can give any file name. I give the node database. That's it. Now after this what you have to do, this class should be abstract. First of all, abstract, and it should be annotated by room database, this one, then two brackets. And after this on the top we can mention some entities here, database, this class should be database. And inside this we can type here that what we want to store inside our database, this type of object, node : class. So alt plus enter, this one. And then we have to mention the version 1. So what is this version 1? Let us suppose you are uploading your app on Play Store, so on that time you have to mention the version. Let us suppose you are releasing an update, so on that time this version will be helpful. So for second time you have to make your app version 2, and then export schema false. So this is basically for, let us suppose you are updating your database in your Play Store, so on that time you don't want to lose your previous data. That's why we need this. Now let's come inside your function, abstract class node database, and here we have to create the database of our application. So for this first of all, let's create the abstract function to get all nodes, get node DAO. So it will return the DAO type. Now we are going to use to creating a database, we are going to use singleton pattern because we want only one instance at a time of our database. So we don't want 2 instance, 3 instance. That's why we are using singleton pattern here. And for this, let's simply type with this companion object, and inside this we have to mention it as a volatile. Then private where I give the variable name instance. You can give any variable name, and the instance of node database type, node database, and by default what I want to store inside this null. Then private val, then lock any. First of all, I remove this. That's it. Why mention here lock? Because it will going to create the database inside a background thread, and we want only one thread can using this. So that's why I use here lock. So for creating the database, first of all, we have to create a function for creating the database. So private fun and create database. This is the function name. Then after this, what we have to pass here inside this, we have to pass the context. Then equal room dot database builder, and inside this we have to pass the information what we want to use. So context dot application context, we want this. Then our class node database colon class dot java. Then what we have our database name. So you can give any name, it is your choice. So I simply give the name node database, and at last we have to build this database. And here I take the instance of this, so that's why where I call the function inside the operator. Now let's call this function. So for this we have to type here operator fun invoke. Inside this we can pass the context. Then after this we have to store the instance question mark colon, then synchronize block, and inside this we have to pass the lock. Then after this we have to call this instance, and inside this we will store our instance which will return by the database. So create database, and inside this simply pass your context, and then after this dot also, and it will return the instance of the node database instance equal, and inside this we will store this it. That's it. So the work of this database class is finished, and I already simply created this node database, and you can see it is very easy to create this, and it is saying it we don't use this, but we will use this later, so don't worry. Now close this, also close this DAO. Then after this I already explained you what we have. We have a repository. Then after repository we have a models and view models. So let's create our repository now. So for this, come on to their package name, right click here, then new, then you have to click on package and give the package name. You can give any package name, it is also, I simply give the package name repository. Then inside this I am giving the new Kotlin class file, and I am giving class file name node repository. That's it. So inside this we have to create some methods. So first of all we have to take the instance of our database. So inside this bracket we can mention private val db node database. So we have a database now we can use this. So for getting the node function get node, and inside this what I can mention here db dot get node DAO. We have to call the DAO first, then we call this get all node, and we are using this get node now from here. So hope you understand why we create this. Then after this we have a function for search node, function search node, and inside this we have to pass the query. This is of the string type query, and then after this what will it will return db dot get node DAO dot search node, and inside this we can pass the query. That's it. And now I simply copy this, Ctrl+C copy, because I have to type this again and again. So this is the get node, search node is done. Then we have a add node, and inside this we have to mention this inside a suspend function. So function name is add node, and inside this we have to pass this function add node, and here we have to, for adding the node we have to pass this type of object node type. And then inside this, first of all let's import this import, then get node down, add node, and inside this we can add this, delete this and copy this, paste this again. Now we have update node, and inside this we have to pass the function name update node. That's it. Now at last what we have, delete node, so we can call the function delete node. So our repository is also created successfully, and you can see everything is separated from everyone, and that's why we use MVVM here. Then we have a view model. So now our view will interact with our view model, and then view model interact with repository, and then repository will interact our database. So that is the flow which are going here. So let's create the view model. So for this we have to create a new package again. So right click here, then new, then you have to click on package, then give any package name. I simply give the package name view model. So now inside this we have to create a class, new Kotlin class, and then you can give any class name, it is your choice. So I simply give the class name note activity view model. You can give any name. Now what if we want to access the repository? First of all we have to take the object of repository, and the type of this is repository, note repository, and it should extend the view model. So I already add the dependency, so that's it. Take two braces here. Now here we have to create some methods. So function, first method is save note. So here we can mention a new note which is entered by the user, and type of this is note type. And then we will call this view model scope dot coroutine context launch, and inside this launch we can launch this, and repository dot add note, and inside this we can directly pass our note. This is new note. First of all let's import this, and after the launch we can also mention here dispatches.io, and I already explained these things in coroutines video, so you can check that. Now simply copy this, Ctrl+C copy, and we can use this again and again. So this is the function for update note, and inside this we can give any different name here to make a differentiate. So existing note, that's why. And after this we have to call the function here update note, and here we can mention we have to pass the existing note type. Then after this we have a delete note, so delete note, and here we have to again we can pass here existing note because we want to use the delete the existing note, that's why. And here we can pass here existing note, and we have to call the function delete note from the repository. Then after this what we have a search note. Inside this we have to pass the query, and the query type is string. Then after this it should return live data list of notes, so note. Then after this it will return this function return repository dot search note query. So you can see everything is very clean and very easy, but just we have to write some more code, but after writing more code then it is better. So now at last we have a get all notes function, get all notes, and it will also return the live data type, live data list of all note. Then after this we can call this repository dot get note, that's it. So now this work note activity view model is also created successfully. Now we have to also create the view model factory if we want to pass the context. So right click on your view model package, then new, then you have to click on Kotlin class file, and then after this you can give any file name note activity view model factory. Then after this inside this we have to take the repository here, note repository, then we should extend this as a view model factory colon view model. So we have to type here view model provider dot new instance factory, that's it. Now we have to implement the method, so change to constructor invocation. First of all type this, and then after this we have to So we have to override a method, so override and press enter. So it will create this override return, and after this we have to return what we have to return. Delete this. So we can type in note activity view model, and inside this we can pass the repository as t. That's it. So our all basic work is complete. You can see our database, and nothing error is appearing here. So if some error is present, then we will solve that error in new videos. So don't worry, but everything is very clean, and if you don't understand anything, then let me know in comments. So this is the end of this video, and or we can say this is the end of this part. So in the next part we will going to write the main code. This is also the main code, but on that time we will going to write the main code, how to access these. Let us suppose user click on add note button, then we have to send the user to new activity, then we have to save the note inside our database. So and I will try to complete this notes app in just after two videos. There will be only more 2 videos left of this series. So I hope guys you like this video. If you have any question, if you have any query, just comment down below. I will try to give the answer of everyone. Please like the video, please subscribe the channel. This video takes so much time to create, so please like the video, please subscribe the channel. So thank you, see you soon in next amazing video.